Welcome to Living Life Juicy, the podcast where we explore how we can be present and kind as we do great things. Some other channels I've got, the Growing People podcast, providing resources and insights on how to grow people and groups. I'm really happy to talk about the explainer videos that we have. We have over 50 videos that we've created, and we want to make more unique to you. So if you want a very short video, 2 minutes on a topic, we'll put it together, and then you could work it into your course or your presentation or program. The other thing is intowisdomgroup.com. That's where you can find out more about the business. Then, of course, my new book, The Pottery Panda, is available at potterypanda.com. We're inviting Tim Walther back. Just had a great conversation with him about Grand Dynamics, what he's doing, and especially his new book, All in Adventure Stories. But now we like to kind of turn the tables a little bit, and I want to invite Tim to ask me 3 questions and find out what's on his mind. And I promise, I may not promise answers, but I promise responses.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me, John.
Yeah, and thanks for being back, Tim. What do you got?
Excited to turn the tables, and see what you got. I'll start off with this concept of, it seems to be fairly present in our modern day society, and that's this idea of being comfortable all the time, and parenting. And it's very, there's many ways for distractions from the phones and just easy access to making life comfortable. So my question to you is, what can you remember as being one of your most uncomfortable moments that you've had, life, business, whatever you can remember, and what came out of that? What was the lesson or the growth or the non-growth? Was it a valuable experience or not? Just some uncomfortable moment in your life.
Well, for a general comment about comfort, I think that seeking consistent comfort, you'll atrophy. I do believe that you need to have moments of comfort, because that's just like weightlifting. The muscle is developed when you step back from the strain. You've got to get that strain. You've got to get outside of what you currently can do. You've got to push it, but then you have to step back, and that's where muscle growth happens. And then you step back into it. So it's not a process of constantly being uncomfortable, but it's being intentionally comfortable at those moments and not avoiding discomfort, because discomfort is the fodder for growth. And if you are always comfortable, you not only won't grow, but you'll atrophy. Now, I think about one thing that goes back, and it's probably formative in my life. I grew up like playing football, especially, and I went to college, and I was going to play football there. And I realized that I was spending 6 to 8 hours a day, either in practice or the gym. And this was my first year playing at the college level. And I realized that I could not, it was a full-time job, but I was there for school. And it's vivid in my mind the day that I decided that I was going to stop playing football, because that was my identity. And I picture me stepping up to the locker and seeing my uniform in there. And I was looking and I saw myself. And that was extremely uncomfortable, because I didn't know what my identity was outside of that uniform.
Right.
And so picking up that uniform and taking it to the equipment guy and saying, hey, I got to hang it up. I can't do this. I got to focus on school. The words didn't seem like a big deal. They weren't a big deal to him. But for me, it was the discomfort of giving up something that was known for a decade for something I didn't know.
Wow.
And that to me was discomfort, but it opened up the world to me about, I'd always been like the jock, and wasn't known, I was smart, but nobody knew me for that. They knew me for my athletics. Right. Same thing. Summers I worked as a wrangler, and I did horses, and they called me Mongo. But as soon as I hung up that uniform, I no longer had that, and I had to go someplace else. And it took me until halfway through grad school before I believed I was smart. I thought I was just fooling everybody. So that was one of those totally uncomfortable things that opened up a brand new picture of who I could be and was going to become.
Cool. Great. Thank you for sharing. I love love your intro about the frame of the whole thing as well, too. Okay. Next question. bucket list item, bucket list experience. What what dream of some type of an experience, whatever that might be, do you still have that you would like to see come to fruition in the next, in your lifetime? I'll just
Thank you
open it
for
up.
giving me the lifetime thing, because if it
Yeah.
was next
So
5 years, that'd be a challenge. I turned down going to Australia for my last year. I won't say my senior year, but my last year, because I crammed 4 years into 5 in my undergrad. But I had planned on going to Australia for a semester and studying marine biology on the Barrier Reef. And I felt responsible to finish school, so I didn't do that. That would extend it even longer. But I would love to spend 2 weeks on the Barrier Reef, scuba diving and just exploring, and then 3 weeks exploring Aboriginal culture. And the concept that just the whole songlines thing of the Aborigines, and such a different way of viewing the life, the world, and spirituality. So a combination of 5 or 6 weeks in Australia, diving and just living in the Aboriginal culture.
Wow. That is, love that. Love that vision. That's outstanding. Man, I can only imagine all the learning that would come out of that. And I love that, it's combining some element of exploration about the culture and your own personal development adventure, and just experiencing life on a whole new level. That's super cool.
I was inspired by Bruce Chatwin's book Songlines, and then Jimmy Buffett, who adapted songlines into a lot of his music. So
yeah. Well, I had a note on here for one of my questions. I'm a drummer. I'm a rock fan. I'm a rock and roll drummer in many, many bands, and played music in a lot of different places, sat in a lot of different things. So the question for you is, tell me a little bit about your experience with music. What's your favorite type of music? How do you use music to enhance your mood, or what are some kind of your personal tips, tricks with music, or favorite moments?
Yeah, so I play guitar and bass, and then I've sat in with djembe and other types of percussion for some other artists, just to fill in their music. But so my favorite go-to, because I'm acoustic guitar, the singer-songwriters, that's where I go. And I've done coffee shops and played with guy who did original music, that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I think back to music when I went to go scuba diving in the Caribbean or in the South Pacific. I would bring my little baby Taylor, and I've been able to sit in with the resort bands. And I remember being in Fiji with I think they were called the Garden Resort Band. And we would sit there. They brought me up on stage. I'd play sets with them, and we'd sit around the kava bowl afterwards. So music has got me into some really cool experiences and relationships that way. I think I truly believe that if you walk into a room without music, you're walking into a room without furniture. So I like to have music playing, and something that not something that's going to cause division, but that's going to bring back memories. And I tried using jazz. I tried doing like more contemporary and hip hop, and all that always causes arguments, because people are going, no, not that, but that. But when I go back to like that around the early 70s, late 70s, even if people weren't alive back then, they have memories of these songs, and nobody's arguing over what song. They're all going, hey, I remember that song. So I'll have music playing in the background. I think that like the percussion activities, Solomon Musala first taught me about some of the drumming stuff, and I got a couple of his books. And just being able to pull out and get people into what he would call the pulse, and having that shared heartbeat that happens when people are either listening or drumming together. So that's programmatically, I think there's lots of ways to use it. I love what Dan Miller is doing with some of his musical stuff, but ultimately it's so rooted into what I do. In fact, I would say the main way that I've used music in my life is to hide in plain sight. So if I'm at a party, like at the conferences we go to, I would often be sitting in a corner playing guitar, not because I wanted attention, but because I wanted to hide in plain sight. And I could
Right.
do that if I was just, playing guitar, plunking away, knowing that I was just dissolving the background and yet still being present in the room.
Yeah, love it. Nice. I mean, man, my relationship with music has been just so life enhancing in so many different ways. With the drumming, sitting in with various different groups around the world and programs and conferences and things like that. But also to serve as a emotional and psychological anchor to the experiences. So when I do our group events, we'll choose a anchoring song, and if you're playing that, well, when you hear it 6 months later, bam, they're gonna be right back in that moment, right? Same thing when I have my set list for my big endurance events. When I know I'm going to be running for hours on end, I'll create a set list, and then I'll know the emotional flow that I'll be in and want to be in, and choosing the right set of music for the experience you're having and that you want to relive and use as an anchor, super, super important. So,
Well, thank you, Tim. Great questions. I love the questions that bring stuff out of me that I hadn't thought about in a long time. So thank you so much. And everybody, remember Tim's book, All in Adventure Stories. You can get it on Amazon. Also, check out Grand Dynamics. That's his company that does such amazing large corporate events. I mean, everything from like simulating the cave rescue from the Philippines. Is Philippines, right?
Thailand. Yeah.
Thailand. My bad. Yeah, the caving stuff, but also mountaineering, fire walking, all these different amazing experiences for people that they may not have ever imagined they could partake in. So check it out. Tim Walther, Grand Dynamics. Thank you, Tim. And I'm sure that we're going to finish up some stories later on.
Yeah, right on, Johns. Thanks so much. Yeah.